Despite my emotional attachment to Takopi's original sin, there was a trigger for my wanting to create another video on the topic beyond my love of the show, and a piss poor excuse of an analysis with the bad script I previously made. It was a TikTok by anime tourists that had called Takopi a nothing burger with no substance.
Takopi's original sin.
Which anime has the most emotional moments?
2, 1,
Chels.
Hi.
What was your question, Chels?
My question was what anime was supposed to be sad but really wasn't?
Ah, so you agree it was a nothing burger of an anime?
Episode 1 hit me and then I was just the whole rest of the time I was like, maybe it'll get better again.
Frankly, the label of anime tourist has no meaning here, but it's a controversial subject which I will not state my opinion on because the conversation is degenerative on both sides. What is more pressing is that anyone that witnessed the first episode continued watching and then still called it unsubstantial has me experiencing irrational emotions that a stranger on the internet should never gain control over me. This is a video for those exact people and the ones curious enough to hear talking points about why this show is good. To discredit myself, I must admit that my large ego about favorable media is significant. I limit my exposure to other people's opinions because I feel so confident in my own justifications. The evidence is hard to present though, it mostly being poor explanations that likely carries more weight in my mind than it does in reality. I can cite how I react to scenes, but at the end of the day, art is subjective. My own knowledge and ability to comprehend is additive to my experience, and there will be others that disagree. Ergo, ignorance is diminutive. Yet somehow, the emotional trigger for so much anger I am about to experience is the asinine statement that witnessing the emotional scars caused by parental abuse was akin to eating a burger with nothing in the middle. No patty, no cheese, no nothing but the tasteless air that humans are slowly polluting. This frankly pulls into question the ability to express empathy, but that is a harsh statement that I must retract for a stranger's opinion on the internet. At the very least, this anger is proof that I am motivated enough to express my better analysis for how Takopi's original sin does a great job at showcasing its themes through story. From page 1, there is a deceptive nature with Takopi's original sin. Its character designs are round and cute like children because they are children. It presents them as naive people that must be protected from the world's horrors, and the alien Takopi has beady eyes that allows transparent emotions. Takopi has the deductive reasoning skills of a toddler. This makes sense because Takopi might as well be a baby ignorant of sadness. It is as if a 2D character arrived in a 3D world and could not see at all. And Takopi's constant learning about the true nature of humanity throughout the series is noticeable. There's a severe difference between the Takopi that wants friendship to blossom between Shizuka and Marina, and the Takopi who discovers the primal fear that controls his actions. This juxtaposition between Takopi's misunderstandings and the true reality for Shizuka adds more to these scenes by reminding us what life should be like. My best similarity is telling a Canadian that the leading cause of bankruptcy in America is medical debt and needing to further explain how messed up the healthcare system is. Absolute fucking bummer, man. Takopi's presence reminds us that happiness should and can be the norm, yet human flaws cause incomprehensible tragedy. The concept of bullying and fragile egos are framed in this foreign way because they are unnecessary. While understandable, inferiority and superiority complexes are constructs created from an anxious mind. Every character is a victim first of their circumstance and then of themselves. The most apt example of this is the chronological order of events when Takopi first meets Marina in the future/past/present because it's 2022. The little alien has gotten Marina and Naoki together, so Marina's mother begins preparing this grandiose dinner to meet the boyfriend, and yet Naoki breaks up with Marina to be with Shizuka earlier that day, causing the juxtaposition that so aptly showcases Takopi's ignorance. His happy-go-lucky nature gleefully slithering to retrieve Naoki despite being there when he professed his love for another. And coming back to a ghastly scene of Marina holding her mother's bloodied corpse in the kitchen she's so nicely set up is a visual of self-sabotage. Marina's mother has a very poor sense of self, her lashing out at Marina due to her own shortcomings. How her daughter views her failures as a parent and hates her becomes her insecurity, and whether or not those shortcomings are true, Marina's mom's verbal abuse forces those flaws into existence. The fact that she is a bad mother becoming her only identity. More likely than not, it was her absent father's drunken rampaging that instilled this anxiety into her mother, but Marina herself must endure regardless. Marina's mom, first the victim of Marina's dad, and then a victim of her inability to escape her own thinking. Marina's all alone now, crying to herself about how she wished Shizuka was dead. Takopi repeats that sentiment while getting on his rocket. Takopi is blissfully unaware of the horrible statement he is making, the declared de-living of a human being. It shocks Marina herself, despite her being the one to make the statement. Ignorance and juxtaposition. It's why the anime opening seems so out of place yet enticing. This false narrative of happy-go-lucky school kids learning to get along is a plot point, just not so neatly presented. It's why these cute kids beating the snot out of each other hurt so much more. Children should be in school, having fun, having a childhood, not getting abused by the big adults. And we're introduced to dark topics, the backpack scribbles and Marina's parasite remarks. But Chappie's introduction and sudden de-introduction were the 2 pages that told me Takopi's original sin was using the medium of manga to its advantage. At this moment, a powerful curiosity to turn the page acts as a strong incentive. Because there's a power over time that the reader holds, we want to know what happens. We're the ones turning the page to the reveal. But that's investment. Why the heck is the dog gone? Takopi's motivations are simple and easy to understand. He's a Happian, a creature whose only job is to spread boundless happiness across the universe. And we humans also have simple needs, an intrinsic motivation devoted to preserving our own happiness. Unlike the viewer's big grown-up brain though, Takopi is like a child in how they just copy everything they see. Would I really blame a kid for being stupid and not knowing better? Yes, just not to their face. It mostly depends on the consequences. Takopi misunderstanding 2022 Marina's physical abuse as love would cause him to imitate it. The consequence of this violence is slapping his mother, inflicting pain despite being a Happian whose only job is spreading joy across the universe. Humans are this horrible species who lets their frustrations get the better of them, that act before thinking, like slapping your daughter or killing someone with a camera. That one-track motivation of preservation can make humans do strange things. We turn this perfect little alien into a murderer. These little kids into survivors of ultimate pains. And the solution is therapy. Be so for real. I have the privilege to say that because of my upbringing and socioeconomic status, but that is what the Junior resolution says to me. Junior, someone who's true to himself, has escaped his mother's constant nagging to be perfect. In doing so, he's become a different version of perfect that is appreciative of life. Out of every character, Junior is the most mentally sound, at least in terms of outward appearances. He maintains a good support system among his peers, his girlfriend, his coworkers, and his friends. No one else demonstrates such healthy independence. They're all either terribly dependent or overly isolated. As a result, Junior is wise enough to save enough of himself for himself while sparing enough for Naoki. This action, telling his beloved brother to rely on him, demonstrates his empathy. Junya is a saint of a character, saving Naoki from wallowing in his own destructions by his lonesome, sacrificing himself and taking on his brother's sins like Jesus would his followers. I don't know how Christianity works. Returning to the past of 2016, Takopi sacrifices himself and his existence to undo his mistake of murking Marina. Reflecting on his sins and regretting his actions, Takopi killing himself is so different from when Shizuka chooses to. Takopi has this happy, hopeful air around him, doing this for the sake of Shizuka's happiness. While she cries, Takopi believes in a Shizuka that can overcome and become happy on her own accord, regardless of her traumas. That Shizuka will learn to smile. There's this rejection of learned helplessness undertone in their hopeful sobbing, and Takopi's sacrifice is the cause of Shizuka and Marina's forgiving each other. Takopi's empty presence is felt by both girls. And truthfully, this part is my only criticism. I enjoyed the two sharing in each other's sadness to tackle their familial pains together. It's just unclear how that actually happened. It's a consequence of time traveling things where Marina recognizes Takopi from a future that never happened, but that future must be in the past for her to subconsciously know it, and even then, seeing the doodle and missing the octopus's boundless enthusiasm for a happier future is the equivalent of two strangers learning their dead moms have the same name and missing them or something. I didn't watch that movie. I think the cause and the effect are both powerful images that tattooed themselves in my memories. I just wish the brief in between made more sense. The scene's themes, however, remain true. There is a burden upon all of us. Sharing that burden makes it feel not as painful. Look at their lives objectively. It's terrible. Confronting our own pains and shortcomings is this grim reminder that being a human inherently sucks, that humans are both the victim and perpetrators of our own emotions limiting us. Marina pummeling Shizuka with her fist doesn't change the fact that Shizuka's mom likes Marina's dad's money. It reinforces her own selfish image that she and her family deserve love more than Shizuka's. Channeling her emotions into something so pointless is a waste of her time and only causes more suffering across the world. It may even cause Shizuka to seduce Naoki in 2022 out of spite or something. The cycle of abuse started somewhere, and we stupidly continue afflicting onto others horrendousness we don't want to ourselves. A group of fundamental human traits: envy, wrath, and pride. Sins, to be more specific. So, how do we end it? The kiddie pool of despair that still drowns if heading in face first. We recognize our own faults and learn to embrace ourselves, to release our hurt in healthy ways that are not destructive to others. And yet, I would never blame Marina for what she did, for not being able to escape. The 10-year-old that watched her mom beat her because her dad beat her mom. Marina's emptiness is a tragedy of her own making, but still a tragedy nonetheless. And having more empathy, I don't know how to feel about Marina's mom. We're forced to infer what happened with Marina's dad and the in-betweens of happy family to painfully separated. The same is true with Shizuka's parents. We don't know why, we just know it's the truth. And maybe the why is also understandable, that the parents have extreme guilt over their actions but don't understand reconciliation. Or maybe they are kid murdering monsters. We'll never fully know. Expanding human morality between black and white and even gray, rights and wrongs become so muddled together that everyone's tones shade darker. Well, except Junya. He's pretty good. And there are very few excuses for raising a hand against a child, even if you are a child yourself. That sort of pain is incomprehensible. Not knowing how to console, how to make a helpless situation better, is what Takopi finds himself doing. None of his tools were of great consequence. Many of them are contrarily used for nefarious actions or were frankly useless. Trying to supplement self actualization or a sense of purpose with a flying band thing is stupid. Takopi is useless at consolations, using band aids for invisible brain sicknesses while also ignoring the sword slashes across Shizuka's body. The epitaph of just be happy is ridiculous because it denies that pain exists. Even at its ending, Marina's face is still scarred from her mother. Shizuka's parents still separate. Even if mental issues are escapable, the constructs of anxiety are still real and not so easily waived. What helped them not be as sad was being there together. It's this amazing metaphor for naive, blind optimism as a worthless defense against depression. The juxtaposition between limitless elation and endless degradation, but two depressions acknowledging each other, two hurt people with problems, somehow just makes sense. To call Takopi's content empty, this story of human insecurities, is so baffling. I would argue only those that have fully escaped the dog crawl of ego can have that opinion because they truly got nothing out of it. Nothing about self respect, self help, or even thinking the story was interesting. I am not there. To me, it's a message about focusing our attention on bettering ourselves and what really matters instead of perpetuating needless cycles of violence. To widely spread a lesson on negative emotions and how to overcome them. And for that, I give an ovation. I had more to say, but truthfully, my anger is dissipating. I view anger as the emotion that demands change, that motivates something new to be done. But I didn't need to drag in a random TikTok I watched. Using them as a basis for my rage is a burden on everyone. That's immature of me. There are so many better uses of my time. What initially started as a concept of me professing my love of elementary school children mutilating each other morphed into my restraint of mauling strangers online. I don't even know their full opinion. I just saw one snippet and labeled them something so horrible. Maybe the real Nothing Burger was me, trying to draw an overarching theme from this attempt at exoneration. Hi, thanks for listening to me talk for a while. If you're not doing too well, talk to someone about it. Maybe they're not doing well either. You never know until they say. Sometimes the happiest people on the outside have fires of cruelness burning internally. Something flames of hellfire for eternal damnation. Just do your best to be happy eventually. See ya.